Это четвертый штурм за 2 недели, че за сколько?
Давай, бежим!
Battles are won on the battlefield, but wars are decided far from the front lines. Today we look at a terrifying reality, a conflict where thousands of lives are lost daily, where every fallen city pushes Ukraine closer to collapse. Russia advances methodically, destroying not just troops but morale, infrastructure, and any hope of a Ukrainian victory. Think these are just numbers? No, they are the harbingers of a war on the brink of escalation. Brace yourselves, because what you're about to see is more than just a battle. It's the crumbling of an army. In this video, military expert Scott Ritter gives us his unfiltered analysis of Ukraine's critical situation. Can an American wear the uniform of a foreign army? I guess the answer is yes.
These mercenaries aren't exactly the best examples of good people. I can tell you most of the Americans who go to fight, and really most who go over there, are people who can't fit in back home. They are looking for excitement. Many of them don't have much experience in the military and tend to be reckless. When they are in action, they commit terrible acts, including sexual assault and murder. I firmly believe that our government should hold these individuals accountable, because even if they are not officially sanctioned, the world sees someone with an American accent and the American flag as American, even if they're not officially recognized.
Ladies and gentlemen, brace yourselves, because what we are about to reveal will leave you speechless. Even former UN weapons inspector Scott Ritter has admitted that the military situation in Ukraine has become unsustainable. The losses of the past week highlight this fact. What we are witnessing here is nothing short of catastrophic. Once again, Ukrainian forces have suffered a staggering loss of 2,580 soldiers. To put that into perspective, just last week, they set a grim record with 2,640 casualties in a single day. Today they are nearing those alarming numbers once more. In total, over 5,200 soldiers have fallen in just 15 days. Imagine that. 5,200 soldiers lost in just a fortnight. This is no longer a war of attrition, this is a war of annihilation for Ukraine. These numbers are more than just statistics, they reflect the crumbling of Ukrainian military might. Let's take Kursk, for example, where 370 Ukrainian soldiers have fallen in this region alone. And it's not just the personnel that have suffered. The Ukrainian army has also lost 16 heavy armored vehicles, 2 tanks, and 6 artillery systems. But that's not all. 7 more vehicles were completely destroyed and left behind nothing but charred remains. Kursk is increasingly becoming a graveyard for Ukrainian equipment and personnel, and this is just the beginning. The situation in Kharkiv is just as disastrous. Yesterday alone, 313 soldiers were killed. While this number is remarkable on its own, keep in mind that just a few weeks ago, Kharkiv was only losing 100 to 150 soldiers per day. The fact that these numbers have tripled in such a short time highlights the immense difficulties Ukraine is facing. But Kharkiv is not alone. In Kupyansk, another 455 soldiers have fallen. This region, once critical to Ukrainian strategy, is now being drained of its strength. And let's not forget Bakhmut, a region that has become a symbol of Ukrainian defeats. Yesterday alone, 810 soldiers fell in this region. You heard that right, 810. To put this into perspective, this number exceeds the total number of Ukrainian frontline losses at the same time last year. This enormous destruction is now happening in just one region. How long can Ukraine afford to sacrifice personnel and resources in this conflict? In addition, 490 soldiers were lost in Pokrovsk. These are not just numbers, entire battalions are being wiped out. Putting these figures together paints a broader picture. Between Bakhmut and Pokrovsk, Ukraine lost 1,300 soldiers in a single day. In the second part of this video, we will uncover the massive material losses that could change the course of the war. Alarming figures reveal the scale of the destruction. How many armored vehicles were destroyed, which artillery systems were lost, and how do these losses affect Ukraine's defense capabilities? Scott Ritter will explain how Russia has demonstrated remarkable military finesse with a bold maneuver that has trapped Ukrainian forces. He will also reveal the strategic secrets behind this cunning tactic. How long can Ukraine hold out in the face of such losses? The answers can be found in this second part of the video. This isn't just a military setback, it's a complete collapse of their defenses in these areas. That brings us to the total losses for the day. 2,580 Ukrainian soldiers missing. If that wasn't bad enough, they've also lost 99 armored vehicles, 5 tanks, 44 artillery systems, 40 different vehicles, 40 drones, 2 electronic warfare systems, and a mine-clearing vehicle. To top it all off, 5 ammunition depots were destroyed. These losses are devastating, not just for the Ukrainian front line, but also for their ability to resupply and reinforce their positions. Every day, Ukraine's resources dwindle, and it's becoming clear they can't sustain this level of destruction for much longer. Think about it. How long can Kiev keep up this illusion of strength? With losses like these, it's only a matter of time before the whole facade crumbles. But the battlefield isn't the only place where Ukraine is losing ground. Their infrastructure, the foundation of their military operations, is being methodically dismantled by Russia's precise strikes. As Inspector Scott Ritter observed, Russia's precision strikes have been devastating to Ukraine's ability to fight. From the 14th to the 20th of this month, Russian forces carried out 27 precision strikes against critical elements of Ukrainian military infrastructure. These were not random missile attacks, but strategic strikes designed to cripple Ukraine's ability to wage war. Russia is targeting energy infrastructure, logistics centers and supply lines that are essential to Ukraine's war effort. Without these elements, Ukraine cannot sustain its fight, and Russia is fully aware of this. Furthermore, these strikes are not limited to a few facilities. They encompass everything from air bases to drone storage facilities to ammunition depots and logistics centers. Each strike is another blow to Ukraine's ability to continue this war. While Western media outlets claim that these are civilian targets, the truth is far different. Russia is systematically dismantling the infrastructure that supports the Ukrainian military. The Ukrainian government knows this but cannot admit it publicly, as it would shatter the illusion of control. Let's look at the details. Over the past week, Russian forces have successfully intercepted 3 ATACMS missiles, highly advanced, long-range missiles supplied to Ukraine by the West. And that's not all. They've also intercepted 12 Hammerglide bombs and an unbelievable 41 HIMARS rockets. Yes, you heard that right. 41 HIMARS rockets, intended for the destruction of Russian forces, were intercepted. On top of that, they've shot down 35 drones, further crippling Ukraine's reconnaissance capabilities. Each one of these losses is another setback for the Ukrainian military and highlights the effectiveness of Russian air defense systems. Let's talk about these Western-supplied weapons for a moment. The West loves to boast about its support for Ukraine and parade the billions of dollars worth of advanced weaponry they're sending into the country. But what happens when that equipment doesn't make it to the front lines? When Russia intercepts these advanced weapons before they can even do any damage? The reality is Ukraine's reliance on Western aid is a failing endeavor, and no amount of weaponry can change the fact that Russia has the upper hand. And it's not just about weapons. Ukraine is losing more than just equipment, it's losing heart. Last week, 53 Ukrainian soldiers surrendered. This speaks volumes about the situation on the ground. Ukraine is running out of options, and every day that passes makes it harder to recover. The attacks are not only eroding military capabilities, they are also paving the way for a total collapse. And as if the situation on the front lines wasn't already bleak enough, the scenario in Ugledar is even more devastating. Let's focus on Ugledar, where the Russian forces have launched an impressive attack, one that caught Ukraine completely off guard. Ugledar showcases Russian military strategy at its finest. The push towards Novokranyanka hit Ukraine like a bolt from the blue. Even Inspector Scott Ritter acknowledged the brilliance of Russia's tactical maneuvers. This wasn't a slow, methodical advance. It was a swift, decisive, and unexpected strike. The Ukrainian forces were caught completely by surprise and are now facing the consequences. What makes this operation particularly noteworthy is Russia's execution of a massive pincer movement, effectively trapping Ukrainian troops and leaving them with no way out. Once again, the Western-trained Ukrainian officers found themselves puzzled, convinced they could outsmart the Russian forces, only to witness a masterclass in military strategy. Russia didn't stick to predictable routes. They attacked from multiple directions, tightening the noose around Novokranyanka in Ugledar in a maneuver that caught the Ukrainian forces completely off guard. This isn't just a battle. It's a trap that Ukraine has walked right into. Let's take a closer look. The Russian troops' pincer movement is isolating the Ukrainian forces from all sides. They are not only facing a major challenge, but complete isolation. The Russian forces are advancing from both the left and the right, cutting off any possible escape route for Ukraine. This is a classic Russian military strategy: encircle, isolate, destroy. The Ukrainian troops are now trapped, and the fall of Ugledar is only a matter of time. Ukraine would then lose another critical position, further weakening its entire defense. And once Ugledar falls, and believe me, it will, the path will be clear for Russia to make further strategic gains. This is not just a victory, but a turning point. Ukraine is not only losing cities, but the very foundations of its defense. With the fall of Ugledar, Russia's next target is clear: Toretsk. Let's turn our attention to this city, where the situation for Ukraine is just as bleak. The fall of Ugledar is only the beginning. Toretsk is the next target, and it's only a matter of time before Ukraine loses another key stronghold. Toretsk, where Ukraine's nightmare continues to unfold. Russian forces are advancing deeper into the city every day, and the Ukrainian defense is crumbling faster than it can be reinforced. Even Inspector Scott Ritter has highlighted the inevitability of Toretsk's fall, and the strategic implications that come with it. It's not just about losing another city. Once Toretsk falls, the road to Kostiantynivka will be wide open. The entire Ukrainian defensive line in the Donetsk region will collapse. The Ukrainian leadership can talk all they want about holding the line, but the reality on the ground tells a different story. Ukrainian forces are in retreat. Toretsk is already half lost, and the rest is quickly following suit. Once it's fully under Russian control, what then? When Toretsk falls, Kostiantynivka won't be far behind, and when that happens, it's game over for Ukraine in the Donetsk region. Here's the harsh reality: Andreevka and Kurymivka have already fallen. These were crucial positions for Ukraine, and now that they are lost, Ukrainian forces are being pushed back even further. Russian forces are advancing from multiple directions, and with each passing day, Ukraine is losing more ground. The fall of Toretsk will be a strategic blow from which Ukraine simply cannot recover, and the fall of Kostiantynivka will be the final nail in the coffin of the Ukrainian defense in the Donetsk region. In the north, things aren't looking any better for Kyiv. To be precise, the situation there is just as disastrous. Andreevka and Kurymivka, once important positions in the Ukrainian defense line, are now in Russian hands. Just yesterday, these regions were on the brink of collapse. Today, they have fallen. Ukrainian forces are retreating as fast as they can, but the truth is, they're running out of ground to stand on. Russian forces are advancing with precision, and the defense in northern Ukraine is crumbling faster than expected. The Western media will continue to portray this as a strategic withdrawal, but let's call it what it is: a rout. Ukraine is losing territory, equipment, and soldiers at an unsustainable rate. With the fall of Andreevka and Kurymivka, the entire northern front of Ukraine is on the verge of total collapse. Russia is advancing, leaving Ukraine with no realistic options. It's only a matter of time before the rest of the northern front crumbles, and with it, Ukraine's hopes of maintaining control of the Donetsk region. This isn't just about the loss of a few towns, it's about the complete disintegration of Ukraine's ability to defend the north. Russia is making calculated advances, and every town that falls brings it one step closer to total victory. Ukraine is losing its ability to maintain control of its territory and, more importantly, its ability to fight. The collapse of the northern front will pave the way for further Russian gains, and then the entire Donetsk region will be at risk.